legacy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and thank you, Gerhard, for that introduction. We are brought to you by the red, white, and blue. We're going to talk about some red, white, and blue. Stay with us. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Still Ken Rollins, and we've got some guests here today. I don't want you to hear and see and listen to what they got to say because it's very important. You're going to need a pen later on, so do that. And welcome to the show, Jackson Hodges and Lori Floyd. Jackson, good to have you, man.
Great to be here,
Good
Ken.
to have you back again.
Thank you very much.
You're a co-host now. You've been here so many times.
I am. I'm becoming a professional.
Okay, you getting your check?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad. You are? Oh, you hear that? Okay. Today, let's see, you were the right place as opposed to being the wrong place.
That is correct.
No, the right place is, tell me about it. So tell those folks. I know, but tell them.
So The Right Place is a nonprofit that provides supportive services and affordable housing to homeless population and low-income families in Calhoun County and the surrounding areas.
Okay, and some of those people are veterans.
Some of them are veterans, that is correct.
Yeah.
We have some affordable housing units, and we currently have 2 veterans that are being housed in there now.
And you're saying affordable housing. This is not, it sounds to me like they're paying some.
They do pay
Yeah.
some for their rent, but it's all based on income.
Mm-hmm.
They never pay more than 30% of their income for utilities or their rent, which is what HUD considers affordable housing.
Are these, did I see a house like that over about 16th or something up on the hill there?
15th,
15th.
right off of 15th Street.
Okay.
They're hillside cottages, and they're little tiny homes, 450 square foot homes, just big enough for one person or 2 people if it's a couple that's living there. And we provide supportive services with that, which means that when they move in, if there is a reason, we're housing a lot of chronically homeless individuals, which means they've been on the street for a while or they have lots of burdens that keep them from being able to maintain housing.
Yeah. We had I don't know if you remember, Jackson, do you remember the guy who used to walk up and down the streets in khakis? They called him Sarge. He had a cigar in his mouth and he had a bag all up around Hardee's right in that area.
I believe so. I do remember that.
Yeah. Sarge was homeless, but he wasn't. He lived in the Victoria. He lived, and that's what I said. He lived in what used to be the Victoria. And I'd had conversations with him, and over the years, very intelligent guy. I think he was a master sergeant, retired, but he was where he wanted to be. A lot of veterans with post-traumatic stress, a little bit of it or a whole lot of it, don't want to be around in a social setting. They don't want you touching them. They don't want you coming to them and talking to them without them. They want to initiate the conversation. So they'd rather be out on the street. And we did a study in Alabama the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs did. We found there's 700 something at that time, veterans. And most of them, like 70% of that population, were in wooded areas. And I'm talking about like at your exits and places like that in the woods.
Very isolated.
Yeah, and they prefer to be there. And a lot of them have checks going in direct deposit for a disability, but they still don't want. They've left the marriage. Some of them didn't even have marriage, but they still want to be by themselves or their buddies and scrap and ask for and beg for food and stuff like that, and they just feel better than that than they do out there 9 to 5. Yeah.
I can understand that. I'm new to the organization, having just been a board member for about a month now, but at our first meeting last week when we had all of our new board members together, Ms. Floyd was telling me that, it's kind of an open door policy. A lot of people, whether they're dealing with chronic homelessness or they're a former veteran and might have some PTSD, we have an open door policy where they can come in. I've heard about 10 to 11 people a day seem to come by, whether they need food assistance or housing assistance. we don't want to so much be up in their business, but we want them to know that, hey, the door is always open and we can help. And Miss Floyd was telling us the story, and I'm sure she can expound upon it, but there was this man that frequently came by, and long story short, he was a veteran. He had been in and out of just various unfortunate situations, and he needed to go to the doctor, but the local transit system did not get close enough to the VA facility in Oxford, and therefore, without having transportation, he had to walk from Anniston all the way to the VA center in Oxford. That was very difficult, but Ms. Floyd, I'll let you finish the story because I know you played a big part in helping him be able to get to Birmingham.
I did. This particular gentleman had not only some PTSD, but he had some mental health issues as well. I didn't know the first couple of encounters that I had with him that he was even a veteran. It wasn't until I kind of built a trust with him and we built a relationship that he kind of opened up to me, and I was able to help him get his DD-214. We had it mailed to the office because he didn't have an address, because he was living underneath the house in Anniston. I mean, he was literally homeless and had been on the streets for a while. And we just kind of built this relationship and worked back and forth. He had some health issues. He was having trouble with his feet. He was just needing to get in to see the doctor at the VA. And so I made appointments for him, and every time I got an appointment set up, something happened and he got arrested, and he ended up in the city jail for trespassing or whatever charges he might get picked up on. And this went on until it finally got to the point that I realized if I didn't do something different, he was going to have some harm come to him, either physically or emotionally. He just needed to change the environment. And so I actually reached out to Mike Rogers' office. I worked with several different people in the community, and we were able to get contacts in Birmingham, where we got someone who drove down from Birmingham and picked him up in Anniston. And now I'm happy to say that he has gotten the medical services that he needed. He's being housed in one of the programs there that is providing him with shelter and food, and he calls me still all the time to check in, and he's really doing well. And it was the collaboration of the community. It wasn't just all me, but it was being able to build that trust with the veteran who was meeting him in the position that he was. It was going to him in his element.
See, I met with our former governor to talk about things like that. That in the churches, I'm thinking about, I wanted to talk about the Afghanistan, the Iraq veterans, the younger veterans. That you got a 23-year-old young man that comes home, and got a wife and 2 or 3 kids, and he looks for a job, and he puts on his resume the last job he had was a paid killer.
Right.
They don't hire many of them, unless maybe Hillary Clinton might be. I know. They got nothing to entice the employer to take them in, so they end up on the street, divorced, because there's a thing going along in amongst the veteran community that you're better off if you leave your wife, because the system will pick her up and take care of her. They'll be doing better.
That's a shame.
I don't know how much time we got left here, but we're gonna have to go to a break here short. And okay, I didn't want to get into this other subject until but anyhow, there's reasons for every one of them, and all of them are not the same. We can't lump them in one.
Right,
one
absolutely.
thing.
I mean, even the ones that we run into, it's reaching not only the veterans, but anyone on the street. It's reaching them in their environment and in their individual needs, because each person's need every day is something completely different.
Right. Well, we're going to go to a break. You'll stay where you're at. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk more about the right place. Be right back. Welcome back. We're talking with Jackson Hodges and Lori Floyd about the right place. We were talking about veterans. And some of the veterans that are homeless out there, like I said, they are by choice. I was talking about the young veteran coming home, can't get work. They feel like the best thing I can do is leave my wife and let the system take care of her, and they'll be fine, her and the kids. And that's really bad that they think like that, but that's what the word is amongst them. And the economy is not prepared to take all of those guys back in Alabama and give them a $50,000 a year job to take care of their family. But in the military, they're being taken care of because they're given housing and things like that. So, but anyhow, that's a bad situation. But some of the people that's out there saying they're in the military, they're really not. I can ask them a few questions to find out if they are. But that place that you're doing up there on 15th, Circle Drive is up there. Mm-hmm. I used to have an old house up there that we tore down. And when we started to tear it down, we found we had to give a evacuation notice because I had 7 people living in that old house.
I'm sure.
They were up under the fireplaces. They had linoleum pulled over them. And it was transit. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you still have that or not, but people were stopping Douglasville, Georgia, and the next stop they were told to do was Anniston, Alabama. And they had an address. They had an address of my old house. It's where to come, and they was getting it over in Douglasville, Georgia.
Wow.
So that was the transit people that's on there. And up at the Centennial Park in Anniston, I had met a few of them up there.
Yeah.
They just sitting around, and I did start talking to them, but they're very, used to hit the nail on the head. They're very tight with what they want to share because
I would imagine.
Yeah. So some of them,
you had to build that trust. You have
Yeah.
to make them understand that you're there to help them and not to just arrest them or run them off of the property or whatever, and that you want to see the outcome of finding a safe place for them to live. And so it's being able to work with them and build that trust and whatever that may look like for them.
Absolutely, especially with the veterans, coming back from the service. A lot of us just don't have that shared experience that they have.
Sure.
So whenever they experience the trauma or loss that often comes with the sacrifice that they make for us, when they come back here, there can be a disconnect, and I understand that. So as Ms. Floyd was saying, it's really about first off letting the community know that this issue exists. Not only with veterans, but if you were to look at the different census tracts throughout Anniston and examine childhood hunger, for example, you'll notice that some of the tracts around the city center and West 15th, Noble Street, have childhood hunger rates as high as 86%. So roughly 8 to 9 in every 10 children are hungry at night. And so whether it be an individual in a household out on the west side of Anniston or any part of Anniston, or a veteran returning from making the sacrifices, all these individuals have gone through their own unique experiences, and we just want to help. It's like I'm a children's minister and often tell my kids just a very simple line that Jesus often said, we help because you can. Nothing more than that. There's no elaboration. You help just because you can. And you don't need to ask too many questions, but we want to help, bring the community in because we offer some services, but in terms, like you were saying, there's a lot of vacant housing. We are not necessarily equipped to tear down vacant housing, but maybe we can, through the things we're doing, trying to help the homeless, draw attention to it and address that problem too, because it's also an issue Anniston faces.
I've had people ask me, what can you do for the homeless? My daughter and I, not on a regular basis, but maybe about every 6 months, we put together our bags and we put the toothpaste and the candies and the cookies and the things like that in their socks, just cotton gloves and stuff. This is coming into the winter part, and we'll put the toboggan in there and we do a nice little shopping bag type thing for them and just drive up, don't ask any questions, say
exactly.
Here, and watch what you do. And a lot of times we'll go get Jack's Burgers and just give me 10 burgers and fries and eat the individual bags. And we go out and ride around, see somebody laying on the bench, go over and, hey, lay it beside them, don't say nothing.
Yeah, it's random acts of kindness.
It's not really getting them to acknowledge that you gave them something. It's then in your heart, that's where the acknowledgement comes from. And if more people do that, I mean, the things that we give them a pair of gloves, you wouldn't have believed how they appreciative they are.
Absolutely.
And we'd go off and circle back around, come back and see them have them gloves on, old brown cotton gloves, something we take for granted.
Absolutely.
And the stuff like that people can do to help.
Yeah.
When you was you're talking about home repairs. That's something near and dear to me because there's a group here in Calhoun County that's been my blessing because I can't call people to help veterans. None of your veterans organizations got any money, and I'm the guy that gets the call. Chamber of Commerce, gets somebody stranded or whatever, I get the call. But when it's things like building a ramp for a handicapped person, I can call on the Alabama Wounded Warriors Alabama. It's right here in town, and it's started by Ross Winter, and he's the guy Bill Williams runs it for him. And they would go out and build a ramp for a veteran, no charge. They partner with Home Depot, and it's good to know they got them. What is, I saw y'all got something here that you make repairs. Is that windows and things like that, or what?
Yeah, so our Veterans Home Repair is actually funded through Federal Home Loan Bank out of Atlanta.
Okay.
And we teamed up with the Noble Bank here in Anniston, and we are the intermediary company. So we find the veteran or their survivors, and that's a key word here that you need to hear. It's not just for the veterans, but it's possibly for survivors.
Yeah.
So if there is a family member that has made that ultimate sacrifice, or even if they've just passed away,
Spouse.
as long as they still own the same home, they are on the deed, and they qualify for the program, we can do home repairs to their home.
You know, this is wild because I had the people on here from Noble Bank 3 or 4 years ago, seemed like, talking about that they were the one. Now they partnered with them. That's awesome because whatever it takes to network to make it work.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and by using the right place and working the partnership with Noble Bank, it allows us to be able to go out. We actually will drive to the veteran's home in some cases if we need to, because some of them may not have the transportation to get to us, or they don't have the money to get the gas to get to us. I mean, we're talking about low-income families. They have to qualify based on income, but there's a lot of people out there that would qualify for the program, and it's up to, depending on if they've actually served in a conflict, the dollar amount is a little bit higher. If they were just in the military, then it's there's a fixed rate that they get to use. And it's a 5-year forgivable loan, which means as long as they live in that home for 5 years. Yeah, it's free of charge.
We're down to a minute, so less a minute. I want to do it. How do you get funds? How do you you doing a fundraiser or something like that?
Yeah, we're doing a fundraiser called A Night in New Orleans, and it's this Saturday night. So
that's on Classic on Noble.
It's on Classic on Noble.
But I went there the other day. I wonder what they were doing.
From 7 to 11.
7 to 11.
And all the proceeds go to the right place. And they can call us. I think you have my contact information. They can call us and get a ticket, or you can even buy some tickets at the door if we don't sell out.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
we
you.
didn't run out of time.
So much
They were
for
telling me
having
that they mean back there. Classic on Noble, 7 to 11. We'll be right back with news you can use. Stay right there and get that pen. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I appreciate folks being on here today, Jackson Hodges and Lori Floyd. I didn't tell you that Jackson's son of one of my favorite friends and a county commissioner, and you put the name together if you'd like to. Hint, Tim Hodges, but I appreciate Jackson coming here. Glad he's involved in something like this. Firefighters Memorial is completed, and we're just trying to find a date to dedicate it. It's probably going to be in July sometime. We're meeting on the 12th to work on that, but probably have the governor up here for it and all that stuff. So we'll keep you posted on that. It's going to be a big day. And remember, on the 17th is a voting day. We just went through this with hosing and runoff. We're gonna expect you to be there, get that I voted, and that's it. Not only your privilege, but I think it's you must do that in order to remain a citizen of this country. Unless you just can't make it, and then you get an absentee ballot. Let's pull up the thing on the tag. I haven't done that in a while. I wanted to. There you go. That, folks, is the tag that the revenue from that tag sales is the way we built the Firefighters Memorial, the way we built the Law Enforcement Memorial, and a lot of other things they do up there in the park. That's you do not have to be a law enforcement officer associated with it whatsoever. All you're doing by sporting that tag on your car with that shield and that rose is you're saying, I support the families of those who lost their loved one in line of duty in law enforcement. And it says a lot about the driver. I don't mean you get permission to speed, but I guarantee you, every law enforcement officer knows what that shield and rose represents. And that tag, if you look at it, it goes with every kind of color car you get out there. So I'd request that you, when you go renew your tag, to look at getting the law enforcement tag on there. And that'll help a lot of people. And I talked earlier about the Wounded Warrior Alabama. The website is woundedwarrioralabama@gmail.com, 256-458-2715, woundedwarrioralabama@gmail.com, 256-458-2715. Those of you that have the Lowe's discount card for veterans, you can no longer use your card. You no longer use DD214. What you got to do is go on this website. Go on to Lowe's.com/military. Lowe's.com/military. And it'll be a questionnaire come up, put your information there, when you served and all that stuff. Then the next time you go into Lowe's and you want a discount, they'll ask for your phone number. Give them your phone number, and you don't have to touch your wallet for your information at all. That's the way it works, and it works good. I've tried it. I prefer it over the other. Let's see. We still needing drivers for the van, for that take the DAV van that takes veterans over to the hospital in Birmingham, and it brings them back too. It don't just take them over there. And here's something that'll save you some money. You're going to buy a new car. You're going down to Superior Hyundai, and you go onto the lot. You find that new car. Take your DD214 with you, and you show 214. They're going to give you a $500 discount. And then after that, you tell them you saw that on Veterans Issues here on TV24, and they'll give you another $500. So I saved you $1,000. You're welcome. Now we'll see you here next week. We're running out of time on Veterans Issues, and I got a salute that goes out to all the law enforcement officers. And here we go. And this salute's for you.